Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us this morning for the monthly employment data release media call. My name is Emily Hetherington, and I serve as Interim Director of Communications and External Affairs for FloridaCommerce. Joining me here is Jimmy Heckman, Bureau Chief for Workforce Statistics and Economic Research. At the conclusion of this presentation, we will be taking questions from credentialed media. To ask a question, please submit it through the Teams chat feature, since we will not be able to accept questions through a private chat. We will address as many questions as possible, but if your question is not covered, please email media@commerce.fl.gov and our teams will work to get you an answer. Today's presentation is focused on employment data for February 2025. If you have questions regarding other Florida Commerce topics, also use the media@commerce.fl.gov email to connect with our communications and external affairs team. I will now turn it over to Jimmy.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you everybody for joining us this morning. At 10 o'clock this morning, the Florida Department of Commerce released February 2025 labor statistics for the state of Florida, as well as its sub-state areas, including all metropolitan areas, counties, and large cities. These data were produced by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics through a federal-state cooperative agreement with FloridaCommerce. And these data were collected through a combination of employer and household surveys, administrative records, and statistical modeling techniques. Florida's unemployment rate and labor force are published under the local area unemployment statistics program using information collected from the current population survey. These statistics are based on a survey of households, so they capture information about individuals as opposed to jobs, and measure employment by residents as opposed to place of work. Florida's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in February 2025 was 3.6%, up 1/10 of a percentage point from the previous month, and up 4/10 of a percentage point from February of last year. The national unemployment rate is 4.1%, up 1/10 of a percent from the previous month as well. Florida's unemployment rate is 5/10 of a percentage point lower than the national rate, and has now remained lower for 52 consecutive months since November of 2020. Miami-Dade County had the state's lowest unemployment rate at 2.6%, followed by Monroe County at 2.7%, and McCullough County at 3.2%. In February 2025, Sumter County had the highest unemployment rate at 6.8%, followed by Taylor County at 6.5%, and Citrus County at 5.7%. The unemployment rate of 3.6% in February 2025 represented 398,000 jobs out of the labor force of 11,196,000. Total employment, or the number of employed people with jobs, was unchanged from the prior month, while unemployment increased by 8,000 or 2.1% from the prior month. Florida's labor force of 11,196,000, which is composed of all currently employed workers, as well as unemployed job seekers who are actively looking for work, increased by 8,000 or 1/10 of a percentage point from the prior month. This graphic here shows the year-over-year percent change in labor force for Florida, shown in blue, compared to the United States, shown in green. As of February 2025, Florida's labor force has increased by 6/10 of a percentage point over the year, while the national labor force has grown at a rate of 1.7% over the same time period. Job creation data for Florida is derived from the Current Employment Statistics, or CES survey, conducted by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The CES survey collects data from over 40,000 Florida businesses and establishments each month to measure jobs by industry across the state. Since these statistics are based on a survey of employers, they measure counts of jobs as opposed to individuals, and they capture characteristics of employers such as industry and place of work. Total non-agricultural employment in Florida rose to 10,024,100 jobs in February of 2025, up 7,400 jobs, or 1/10 of a percent from the prior month. This figure is up 128,300 jobs from a year ago, which is an over-the-year increase of 1.3%. Private sector component of employment was 8,854,700 jobs in February 2025, up 7,200 jobs, or 1/10 of a percent from the prior month. Total private employment was up 100,700 jobs to February 2024, an over-the-year increase of 1.2%. 7 out of 10 industry supersectors gained jobs over the month. Construction gained the most new jobs, increasing by 5,500 or 0.8%. followed by professional and business services, increasing by 3,600 jobs, or 0.2%, and financial activities, increasing by 2,600 jobs, or 0.4%. 3 out of the 10 industry supersectors lost jobs over the month. Leisure and hospitality lost the most jobs, declining by 3,600 jobs, 0.3%, followed by trade, transportation, and utilities, declining by 3,300 jobs, or 0.2%, and education and health services, declining by 1,600 jobs, or 0.1%. Here we see the overview change in employment by industry supersector between February 2024 and February 2025. In Florida, shown here in blue, compared to the United States, shown in green. The fastest growing Florida industries over the past year were construction and education and health services at 2.6% each, followed by other services at 2.3%. 7 major sectors outpaced national trends over the past 12 months. The top 3 sectors where Florida outperformed national growth the most were manufacturing, information, and other services. This map shows the seasonally adjusted over the month job growth by local metro area in February 2025. 12 of the 25 metro areas in Florida had over the month job gains. The Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville metro area grew at a rate of 0.4%, the fastest job growth among all Florida metro areas, followed by the Cape Coral, Fort Myers metro area, growing at a rate of 0.3%, and the Orlando, Kissimmee, Sanford, Ocala, Gainesville, and Crestview, Fort Walton Beach, Destin metro areas, each growing at a rate of 0.2% each. The areas that added the most jobs in February were the Orlando, Kissimmee, Sanford metro area, adding 3,800 jobs, the Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, and West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, Delray Beach metro areas, adding 1,000 jobs each. The Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach, Sunrise, and Jacksonville metro areas each added 900 jobs. 9 Florida metro areas lost jobs in February. The areas that lost the most jobs were the Tampa metro area, losing 1,300 jobs, the Lakeland, Winter Haven metro area, losing 900 jobs, and the Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton metro area, losing 600 jobs. And this slide here shows the most recent job openings and labor turnover survey data, or the JOLTS data for Florida. Please note that this slide reflects information from January 2025, which is the latest data available. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that the number of job openings, shown here in blue, increased to 503,000 in January 2025, an over-the-month increase of 39,000, or 8.4%. This is down 4.4% from 1 year ago. There were 243,000 quits, shown here in gray, in January 2025, an over-the-month increase of 50,000, or 25.9%, and down 8.6% from 1 year ago. There were 377,000 hires, shown here in green, in January 2025, an over-the-month increase of 19,000, or 5.3%, and up 2.2% from 1 year ago. This concludes today's presentation, and we'll be happy to field any questions from Credential Media.
All right, our first question is from Tom Urban. Is there any concern about the jobless rate being up 0.4% over the past year, or is that a sign that the unemployment rate was about as low as it could get last year?
Hey, Tom, and thank you for that question. Yes, I think it is important to remember that last year, Florida has seen some very, very low, near historic low unemployment rates, and that over the last year, these incremental increases in the unemployment rate have come alongside labor force growth that we also discussed in the presentation here. So most of these new labor force, or these new unemployed individuals that are entering the labor force are entering the labor force looking for employment. And so that's the main reason for that increase in the unemployment rate.
Okay, our next question is from Jim Turner. How much of the February numbers are a result of recent government operational cutbacks at the federal level? What effects has the state or regions of the state seen from recent government operational cutbacks? Going forward, what impacts are anticipated?
Hi, Jim, and thank you for that. We do measure government jobs, and we do break out specifically federal employment. If there are any impacts, it's still too early to see those yet. We're reporting on information from that was collected in mid-February. So it's really too early to tell if there is anything happening.
Last question is from Mike at New Service of Florida. What are the biggest impacts on manufacturing jobs? Do you include citrus jobs in those numbers?
Hi, Mike, and thank you for that question. Yes, I mean, as we noted in the presentation, manufacturing is one of the areas. I think the area where Florida is outpacing the nation by the widest margin in terms of over the year job growth. And I think we didn't note in this presentation today, but the manufacturing employment level is actually at the highest that it's been since around 2002. So manufacturing in Florida has been growing very consistently. Florida does have a very robust aerospace manufacturing sector. That's obviously a big contributor to the job growth over the last couple of years, but that's something that we can provide more information on if you're looking for it. And to the citrus component of that question, not necessarily the agricultural harvesting of citrus fruits, but the processing and manufacturing of citrus-based foods like orange juice and other products is included in a food manufacturing subcomponent of manufacturing.
Thanks, Jimmy. Again, thank you so much for joining us today for the February 2025 rate release. If you have any additional questions, please email media@commerce.fl.gov. We look forward to having you for our next rate release for March 2025 on Friday, April 18th. Thank you and have a good weekend.